I'm sorry, Commander. It's dead. The ammunition explosion blew up its Senators. There's nothing we can do. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, I know. It is a sick joke that this happened to happened to your stalker before the dervish. Life life is funny that way sometimes. Real mixed bag for X Company last week. We did claim some pretty high salvage, but we also lost a pretty important part of our roster. But not one that we can't entirely do without. After all, the mech market is always cycling, and there's always a chance some other assault will drop on there, maybe a better one. Although, it is my favorite of the assaults, but, you know, there are some pretty good ones on there that we would also be able to put the captain into. We just have to cross our fingers and hope that they land. In the meantime, we've shaken up the roster a little bit. Because the mech commander, our Captain Kobe, is currently dispossessed, we've had to switch things around, putting Zero in charge of Central Lance and maneuvering some of our equipment and mechs around to field, instead of a heavy and two medium, just two medium lances. Central Lance now consists of Zero, Sergeant General Gerald Ueda in an Ostsal. We've got Jeannie with her Dervish. We've got Babe with her Wolverine, and we are once again fielding that urban mech. I know, sick joke. This brings it up to a 200-ton medium lance. It's got a pretty good loadout for it being a medium lance, apart from that urban mech, but he's just pretty much there to fill out the numbers. So, decent. Big Sky looks more or less the same. Wolverine, Hermes, Shadowhawk, Trebuchet. Firebrand Lance is kind of an odd medium. We don't have enough tonnage left to really have made a convincing heavy. But what we could do is with a short lance, only 3 mechs, we could make a medium out of a Crusader, a heavy mech, a Marauder, a heavy mech, and a Centurion, which is a pretty heavy medium. This should have been enough to take on a normal, standard issue medium encounter. But the idea would have been that they would have been more intended for reinforcement than for actually fighting. Unfortunately, along with this being a Lyran insurance scam, I think that there is someone in the Lyran high command that's just feeding data about us mercenaries. Because once again, they've picked our weakest lance to be the target of today's mission. We have a hold the line. They are attacking the patrolling Firebrand Lance. Our Lyran allies sent a Hatchetman and a Vulcan, which is an interesting mixture. Hatchetman's a mech that we haven't seen a lot of, even though I would have loved to get my hands on one last campaign. That campaign was much more melee focused than this one, and the Hatchetman is a melee mech. Carrying around an AC-10 and also just a big ass mech hatchet in its hand, it's designed to go get up close to enemies and shear their limbs off. Now, unfortunately, that requires someone who knows what they're doing to be handling it, so this 4-4 would be an okay choice if it weren't for the fact that he's getting commands from sheer idiots. Against us, the Draconis are sending a Wolverine, a Shadowhawk, a Vedette, a J. Edgar light hover tank, a J. Edgar hover tank, a Packrat LRPV, which I think is just a very light scouting vehicle, a Stinger, and a Panther. So initial group really mech-wise is a Wolverine and a Shadowhawk and a Stinger and a Panther. 2 mediums, 2 lights. Shadowhawk, standard issue, we're familiar with its capabilities now. That's a 2H, which I think is the same model that no, 2K is our model. 2H, can't remember what that one's loaded out with. I think that's the model that packs a large laser instead of the PPC, but we'll check it once we get to the actual battle screen. Stinger 3G, it's a Stinger, it's a 20-ton mech, it's the exact kind of thing that our Lyran allies have been tossing into enemy line. Well, no, the Stinger's an interesting one. It's a 20-ton, but it's a pretty heavily armored 20 ton. It's a 20 ton that's armored like, an actually reasonable light mech, but is kind of slow in response. Panther, we've seen these things before. PPCs and heavy armor, they're pretty much a pocket sniper. And in reinforcements, we're looking at a Locust. This is the standard issue garbage that we've come to know and hate. A Vedette, a Vulcan, and a Prowler. The Prowler is a kind of heavy one. The Vulcan, we've seen these Vulcans before, and they're a pain in my patootie. Their jump jetting and medium lasers make it so that they can kind of move wherever the hell they want and zap whoever they feel like, as long as they've got good shooting, which Jocelyn here is a 4, not terrible. So, we've got a couple things that might help us mitigate this one. First off, we've got our infantry squad out looking, researching, reconning, seeing if we can figure out any ways to shut the enemy down on this one and call it a victory without having to actually go fight them. So, let's see if we trigger that. Gotta get a 6. We do not. Well, 1 in 6 chance. We'll get it one of these days. It's an investment in the future. In any case, we've also got the fact that since Big Sky and Central were not assigned to any matches this week, they can potentially reinforce. Big Sky's a scout, reinforces on a 5 or 6. Central is a fight, reinforces on a 6. So, first off, Big Sky makes it, so Big Sky will be reinforcing our position. That'll help swing things significantly in our favor. And can Central show up? No, Central's going to be just short of showing up. But that's alright. Big Sky is probably what we need most of all. Besides, Central would include our poor urban mech, and he would just never show up. It would be embarrassing for everyone involved. So we do have Big Sky coming to reinforce, which means that we're going to get a nice pod of medium mechs to help out our sort of short Firebrand Lance. So we'll go ahead and deploy them as well. And with that in mind, yeah, I think there's nothing left to do except get down on the field, because Badlands and Cliffs. Cliffs is going to be a slight pain in the ass for maneuvering around, but it's going to be just as much of a pain in the ass for my enemies. They've got a Shadowhawk, which has a jump jet of 3, Wolverine jump jet. Well, actually, they've got the jump jets to deal with the Badlands, but on the other hand, I could end up in like a swamp or somewhere far worse. I can deal with the Badlands. A bad reroll here could put me in really bad terrain. So I'm willing to deal with, well, actually, if I just re-roll the Cliffs type, it could be Badlands with a lot of jagged terrain, and that wouldn't be too bad for me either. Let's re-roll exactly where we're fighting, the specific map type. Rocky Valley, I think that's going to be a map that's going to have high heights on either side, but a sort of narrow in the center, which could work well. That would help funnel the enemy, especially their tanks. Now, this is a hold the line, which means we have to destroy 1/2 of their units while having less than 1/3 of our destroyed. That's a problem initially, definitely, because, unfortunately, since we have only 5 mechs on the field to start, 1/3 of our own, well, no, 1/3 of our own is still going to be, have 2 mechs destroyed, because 1 out of 5 is not 1/3, but 2 out of 5 is over 1/3. So we still need to lose 2 mechs to be able to, or 2 mechs in order to retreat. However, once Big Sky comes in, that'll give us 10 mechs, which is going to be 3. No, that gives us not close to 10 mechs. 4, 7, 9, actually close, whatever. 9, which is going to be, yeah, 3 mechs before we have to retreat. We have to destroy half of the enemy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 means we have to destroy 4 before they reinforce, 6 after they reinforce. And since their reinforcements and my reinforcements are going to be showing up more or less at the same time, I honestly think on this one, it would be nice to take home an extra Wolverine, but it's not essential. I would more be looking at this stuff for salvage, because well, that's something that I'll touch on when we get to the actual monthly uh, report. But for right now, I think we're going to take this one perfectly straight. Actually, try to knock out the enemy vehicles over their mechs if we can. That Stinger should be not too difficult to knock out, so we can try to put some shots on that. But mostly, we're going to want to try to engage their vehicles, destroy them quick, and force an early victory. If their vehicles get bogged down and we can't pull that off, then we can rely on our reinforcements that are coming shortly, and then have to deal with the fact that we'll also have to destroy a couple more of theirs, but they're bringing enough vehicles that that should still be easy. So that's the game plan. Let's get down there and see how it pans out. Yeah, I'm not even particularly worried about winning. I just don't want to lose too much more. The way this contract is gone, it's we're not going to. Not unless we get seriously lucky in a couple days. We're probably not going to complete this one with our Lyran allies happy with us. I say Lyran allies. A more appropriate term is Lyran insurance scammers. I'm starting to get the idea, especially since they've had so many of these missions where they've launched like, yeah, at some point I should actually go over the mechanics involved in, oh, hey, bings. A bing sounds a little high on my end. Uh, Looking at it over there, it looks like it might be a little high on your guys' ends too. Hang on, I'm just gonna tweak the down just a bit, just to make sure. Okay. Um, so we've got our Hatchet Man, cool mech. I wish I could take home my ally salvage. Look at that! Look at that! Look at how hardcore that is. Just imagine that coming at you. You know, it's the size of like a four-story building and has a big crude hatchet. Packing two medium lasers and AC-10, it and jump jets. It's pretty mobile. Apart from the fact that it's a medium mech that, like the Hunchback, just has 4 movement. It's got an undergeared engine. But the big thing is that hatchet on its right arm. It can use that to supplement its punches and adds a significant amount of damage. It makes its punches work effectively like kicks. Uh, the way damage is calculated on melee is based on the mech's tonnage. For kicks, you do 1 point of damage for every 5 tons of your mech. So this thing kicking would normally do like it's a 45-ton mech, so 9 points of damage. A normal punch is based on 1/10 your weight, so he would only do like 4 damage on a punch. But with that hatchet in play, it's upped back up to what his kick damage would be. And just like a normal punch, if you miss with a hatchet, there's no chance to fall on your ass. Really, it's a cool piece of equipment, but it's following the fluff of BattleTech. Here in 3039, or what was it, 3039? Or am I a little early? No, 3029. Huh. Here in 3029, the Hatchet Man is actually a pretty new piece of technology. The Lyrans were just experimenting with actually equipping mechs with specific melee weapons, and as such, it's a not commonly adopted technology. In fact, even when you get later on in BattleTech, it's supposed to be pretty rare and something that the Inner Sphere only started fielding because it was an interesting little side note, unless they were the Draconis, and the Draconis just went full weeb and started supplying a lot of their guys with fucking katanas. Fucking mech katanas. Ugh. Anyway, the Vulcan's a pretty good mech. The Shadowhawk 2H. No, I was wrong. Replaces that PPC with an AC5 and also packs a medium laser and SRM2. So it trades out the PPC for a little bit more ability to punch at medium range and a lot less punch at long range, but it can do it pretty reliably. And all the rest of this you've seen before. So we are going to have our friends reinforcing at around turn 7, enemies reinforcing around turn 8. So let's get down there and see if we can't keep these guys back before the reinforcements show up, or just push them back in general. Ugh, muted myself in time. Had to sneeze. Trebuchet, our deployment order isn't great. We're gonna have to deploy a lot of our stuff before we can see where the enemy deploys, and that's just not a good time. But, you know, what can you do? We rolled pretty poorly when it came to initiative, so that happens. That is not what I would call a valley, per se. We've got a couple hills here that we'll be able to take some cover behind. Wait, hang on. -2. We have some divots here that will cover up nobody unless we kind of jump into them and then use them for cover, especially like positions like this. -2 next to a level means that we can hide a mech in that hole. But this is mostly pretty open terrain. This is going to be kind of a slugfest at long range, which Firebrand is not specifically good at, especially because its heaviest hitting mech, the Crusader, is mostly a short range mech. But we can make do with it. We are packing a new Centurion that has a AC-10, and so that should be interesting times. As for how we're going to approach this, I think general plan I've got here is we'll take this foxhole. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, at level -1, we should get some cover for our legs at least. A couple shots would not be would miss based on that. We'll want to move our full speed and then just kind of hit this foxhole and then take shots at the enemy, because wherever they position, they don't have any foxholes to go to. They're going to have no cover. So pretty much we'll just be able to take pot shots at them as they come in. Not the worst positioning we could have gotten. The Centurion is kind of slow. It's got a maximum run of 6. So if we go here, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be perfect for a walk. Yeah, I'll take that. Now, oh right, they deploy closer to the center. Well, that's still going to be fine. Now, interesting choice they made here. This J. Edgar light hover tank deployed at -2 level, which means that it's going to have to wheel around here to be able to get anywhere. Uh, Vehicles can't climb these steep-ass slopes. Looks like they did put that one kind of close to me too, so that means I'll be able to target that one down. The Crusader, pretty much the same plan. Uh, Made slightly more difficult by the fact that we don't have as good a straight shot with this level -2. So hit dirt there. Don't want to end up there because that would make us unable to see the targets. Here though, one, one, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. May as well just make it a walk. Doing a lot of thinking about my deployment this time because it's kind of important. And my Marauder. This one has Li Gong. She is going to do work for me. I am certain of it. So I want to put her in a pretty good position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even if she runs, she's going to have a excellent chance to knock people out because she's just so damn accurate. So if I start her here, she should be able to walk into this foxhole and then just start laying shots on chumps like it was nobody's business. And there goes the rest of the enemy forces. Boy, that looks like a lot of them, but a lot of them are just vehicles, so don't panic. Just stay cool. We did pretty well on initiative. Uh, Marauder, Wolverine, Hermes, no wait, those are... Well, the Marauder did pretty well on initiative. That's important. But we kind of know where we're going anyway, so... Shadowhawk moving up. Enemy Vulcan moving up. Or Allied Vulcan. No, they're enemies now. Who am I fucking kidding? This worked out perfectly. That means we're going to be... We won't be able to see the Pack Rat or the J. Edgar, but we wouldn't be able to see them anyway, because of the cover they're effectively taking. Can't see a lot of the other enemies either, but, well, that'll be pretty much on them to figure out where they're going to go, right, because of this little hill here. So we've pretty much got this arc of fire. If the enemies jump behind here, then they're just not going to be able to get a shot on anyone, which I'll take right now. That does create some problems for my Crusaders' planned position, though. Didn't really think that one all the way through, I'll admit. If I kind of... Now, I can't get up to from -1 to -1. If I kind of curve around, do a little bit more movement than I was thinking, I can get pretty much the same firing arc that this Centurion has, and I'll take that. It does look like they're mostly working on hiding. My Marauder is going to move up. She'll be able to see the Shadowhawk at least, so that's one thing that she'll be able to set her lasers on. And then the rest of the enemy's vehicles. So, enemy pretty much hid from us this turn. We hit dirt, and then they kind of aired towards this hill in order to avoid our sight lines. So this is going to get up close and personal pretty quick, which honestly I don't have a problem with. That's where I prefer to be with a fair number of these mechs anyway. But it does mean that we're not going to take any good shots this turn. Not from the Crusader, not from the Centurion, but as I saw earlier, I do at least have shots on the Shadowhawk. 52% chance. I ran, so maybe not do a full heat dump, but we'll fire a PPC. Not within range for the medium laser, but also fire the AC5. And we'll pretty much kind of squat here and take shots with the PPCs. And for right now, we'll just leave our heat build up kind of low so that we can do a real fire next turn when we can see more targets. So Shadowhawk takes shots at my Marauder. Needs a 9, needs a 9, rolled a 10 and an 11. 9s are 27% chance to hit, so that's a pretty good set of rolls on it. 4 out of the 5 missiles hit. That's a pretty good roll on missile cluster too. So hopefully those rolls will be on our side as well. Well, they were not. We had like a 50% chance and we missed it. Well, off to a good start. Enemy, enemy, definitely enemy. Enemy Vulcan, enemy Vedet, enemy Hatchet Man, missed everything. So all shots missed except for the ones on us. I'm starting to think that these guys are working together. By these guys, I mean the Draconis and the fucking dice roller. But anyway, let's save the salt for when something bad actually happens. Let's see here. Crusader rolled poorly. Centurion rolled okay. And everyone else rolled pretty good. So let's see where the enemy moves their initial units. Looks like they're cresting that hill. They're currently going to have some cover behind it. So how can I try to get an engagement with these guys? Well, it looks like they delivered at least one thing to me on a platter. This pack rat has managed to boost up this level. And honestly, it would be rude of me to ignore that. I can scoot over here and be able to put a lot of zaps on that pack rat. A heavy mech focusing on a light scout vehicle is probably going to be a kill for me. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that as part of our plan of we are not fucking around this mission. We're not even trying to take salvage. We're just trying to complete the contract and go home. Back to Outreach, or to whoever our next encounter is. Let's see. Our Centurion has shots on that Wolverine. Now the big question is, if you move kind of flat out, you can see a lot of the enemy, but a lot of the enemy can see you too. Over here, you can see a Shadowhawk and a Wolverine and the Pack Rat. What I'm really trying to do, the Centurion is Well, none of these mechs are fast, but the Centurion is the mech that has the lightest armament. So I kind of want to see if I can't flank around to get at this J. Edgar that seems like it's just hiding. On the other hand, if I stay right where I am, well, he's going to have mod 3. Sitting still is almost never a good idea, but if I move anywhere, I'm just exposing myself to more shots, although granted that Stinger is probably going to jump on me to get shots on me regardless. If I move back a bit, I can just see the Wolverine, and I really just don't want to spend time fucking about with firing on their heavy mech, or their medium mechs, though. Let's go ahead and get started on this flank. Over here, we can only be seen by two. Actually, no, that's the potential for all of the enemy mechs to see me. And I wouldn't be moving terribly far. So if instead I kind of move flat out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a penalty to hit me. And even though I'm out in the open, I kind of would be seen with any other move anyway. So, tell you what, Laura Henstock, Twinkle Toes, you are going to be brave. You are going to attract fire this turn and zoom out here. Your Centurion is pretty heavily armored for a medium mech. You've got good armor all around. Weirdly enough, you have more armor on your arms than you have on your torso. That's a very interesting design, but whatever. So try to take shots on your arms, wiggle about and sort of wave them in the air like you just don't care, but you do care very much because you're rushing up so that you can get good shots on that VDET and hopefully take it out. And then step on the pack rat. So here we go. Now that I anticipated that we would draw the Stinger out, and that's exactly where I wanted him. Another reason that I did that was the hope that the Stinger would try to move to intercept and jump right into my laser range. Now, can I move enough to actually be worth... No, I cannot move far enough with this Marauder to not just take the worst penalties for getting hit. Can I move anywhere that lets me see the Stinger and not be seen by quite so many enemies? This is just me checking hexes. Oddly enough, if I moved there, I wouldn't be able to be seen by the Shadowhawk, but that would be about it. Tough choice, tough choice. I think that would even allow me to see the J. Edgar where it moved to. All things considered, I think that the best thing I can kind of do is we're going to be exposed to enemy fire this turn, pretty much no matter what I do. So by at least moving a fair amount, like I want to get at least 3 hexes, like that, yeah. We can get into positions where we can, well actually, I don't want to get too close with the Marauder because those PPCs operate at minimum distance. So instead, just kind of back it up. Well, okay. Lots of indecision here because I'm not going to lie. I am actually a little bit spooked. We are kinda outnumbered here, and weight of fire can tell true. The Crusader is heavily armored, but that's the one that they can't see particularly well. The Marauder is not for a heavy mech. It's okay, but it's not super heavy. And neither is the Centurion. I just don't want to have any more catastrophes on this mission, on this assignment, so I'm acting a bit skittish. And you know what? That's just gonna invite trouble. I have a shot. I need to take it. This Stinger is not terribly heavily armored. It's got 6s on its sides. A medium laser won't burn through that. A PPC will. So I don't need to close up on it. I need to back up on it so that I can get excellent shots. Although, actually, sitting just still gets me the same shot as moving. Because -1 for movement, but right now it's just at -1 for being one closer than minimum. Honestly, sitting still is gonna be my best option because I cannot move enough to convincingly change their shots. It sucks. We're gonna take a lot of heat, and we're going to take a lot of heat because I'm gonna fucking alpha strike this stinger. Probably not full alpha strike, but I'm gonna put some fucking hurt on him. But I think that that's our best chance for knocking out an enemy mech just straight up, and hopefully being able to survive the incoming fire. So we are sitting still. Our Crusader can't see the stinger, which is odd, but not much can see or be seen. We've got LRM-15s that aren't going to work great against that pack rat, but could hit. It's outside of my shortest ranges. What we do have is, and unfortunately because of my legs having those SRM-6s, we don't even have good shots with those. What we do have is a pair of LRM-15s at 8 and a pair of medium lasers at 8. The LRM-15s are 5 heat apiece, so probably best option is going to be medium laser, and LRM-15, just to keep my heat from getting out of control, but also apply as much firepower on this sucker as I can. Hopefully that's enough to drop the Centurion. Or the pack rat. Jesus, I'm already... do you have expanded torso twist? You do not. Which means that you just can't quite get eyes on that stinger. However, what I wanted you to kind of take out was this vidette anyway. Then again, you don't have great odds of doing that either. Well, we'll take the shots that we have and not complain about the shots that we don't. And we can fire 3 heat, 3 heat, 4 heat. That would only put us 12, so we can fire everything we got into trying to knock out this vidette fast, and pretty much cross fingers. So we'll fire the AC-10 for stripping, fire the medium laser for stripping, and then the LRM-10 hopefully does some crit procking. Here we go. Lastly, Marauder has some pretty excellent shots on taking this stinger the fuck out. I'm glad that I saved my heat from last turn, because we are going full in on this motherfucker. 2 PPCs give us 20 points of damage coming into him. An AC-5 would give us 5 more for only 1 more heat. We are looking at currently being 5 over. And what do I really want to avoid heat-wise? Probably I just want to avoid the shutdown, because we've got a nasty alpha strike on this motherfucker, and I want to take it while I can. I mean, look at that. 94% chance to hit with those medium lasers. If we can land a solid majority of this, he's probably going to be pretty badly fucked up. If we pump 2 more medium lasers at him, that's going to be 27. We're going to be 11 over. That's going to mean -2 movement, +1 modifier to fire, and we will be seriously overheated come the next turn. But if we can use that to knock this sucker the fuck out, I consider it a good trade. So what do we do? Enemy Shadowhawk takes shots at my Marauder, like I expected. We're taking shots on our right leg, taking shots on our center torso. Nothing too serious yet, but it's a bad start. J. Edgar Hover Tank fires at my Hatchet Man enemy. Manages to pop a couple times. Enemy Pack Rat misses my Marauder, good. Enemy Wolverine misses my Marauder, good. I'm sitting still, guys. What's your problem? My Crusader manages to hit the LRM, the medium laser and LRM-15 on that pack rat, but I guess it's more heavily armored than I remembered, because, well, okay, all the shots went on the front, so that explains it. It only has 16 armor on the front, but we landed everything on that arc. but that means it's got a weak front, so maybe it'll be pretty easy to finalize. VDET actually lands a shot on my Centurion, which was the hardest mech I had to hit, so kudos to it. Fortunately, hit it on those heavily armored arms. My Centurion, fuck yes, Twinkle Toes! That is exactly what I wanted to see. Crit procking on the VDET knocks out its, hit it on its left side and tracked it, rendering it immobile, and then immobilize it again for good measure. So the VDET is out of this fight. Fantastic work. Enemy Stinger takes some shots on my Marauder, gets another goddamn through armor critical, but fortunately it didn't roll to actually crit anything, so it's effectively a waste. However, all those shots on my left leg are starting to stack up. I'm not a fan of that. Panther lands a shot on my Marauder on the right arm. We've definitely taken over 20 damage, so uh, we'll have to see if Pugs can make that pilot check. Hopefully she can. Hatchet Man misses entirely. What a scrub. My Marauder, though, hits on the left arm, destroys it, blows it entirely off, which is interesting, because an interesting critical to get because we effectively destroyed the arm, then blew it off, which means nothing. PPC hits on its right leg, dealing some internal structure. Missed the AC5, sadly, but the medium lasers hit left leg and right arm, so this thing's badly stripped and is missing one of its arms. My Marauder makes the check easily. The Stinger, despite being a pretty decent pilot, fucks up and falls right on the ground. So he's going to be vulnerable to getting his shit kicked in next turn. Good work, Pugs. Now, let's step on this pack rat, hopefully kick it in its front arc, and finalize it. Hey, I'll take that too. Kicked it right in the tracks and immobilized it. That's 2 out of 4 that we need. Good work, guys. Good work. Put positive energy out, positive energy comes back. Now this our Marauder Pugs is kind of boiling a bit, but uh, she should be able to work through the pain. We won't be able to fire a PPC next turn if we want to kind of get her back down to normal heat. So we'll have to take that in mind. But I think it was totally worth it to put some nasty savaging onto that light mech. Not great initiative for her, but we'll get to see some of the enemy's tank movement first. So they're closing in on us. They have seen what has been happening over here, and they realize that they outnumber us significantly, but we can kind of tank shock them, knock out their support elements and force them to withdraw if we focus down on them. So they're moving up on us to prevent that. In response, this Stinger, now my movement is fugged. There's not a lot I'm going to be able to do to avoid getting shot this turn, sadly. I will, I think, take a couple well, right now they're in medium laser range, and so is that Stinger. I've got some pretty nasty piloting penalties, so I don't want to move up with the Marauder. I think instead, I'm going to rely on this AC5 to do the bulk of my damage this turn, because it's got such little heat generation. And just back up a little bit to help get it the same accuracy shot, but to back out of the medium laser range of these guys. Although the Shadowhawk's the only one with a medium laser. But that Wolverine could be coming too, so. And that's got way more short range weaponry. So we'll back up. Over here, the Stinger got up and is closing in on us. He's kind of a hero, but my allied Vulcan is moving for the rear shots, which are kind of superfluous. The Centurion is going to be abandoned, and the Vedette has already been so. In fact, I think the Centurion also has already been abandoned. So we can complete the action we were taking with my Centurion and try to move up on this hover tank. Now, sadly, The hover tank can then take its pick of where to move, which kind of rustles my jimmies, because we might not be able to get a good shot on it regardless. But jumping down here, it can't move up behind me unless it goes all the way around here. So I think that's going to get us in a position where we can actually take it down. And if not, it at least forces it to get into a position that's not great for it. Yeah, that Wolverine's moving up on me. Kind of expected that. Now my Crusader is a heavily armored mech, and I kind of hit her in this hole to pick on this pack rat, but I really need her to stand up and start taking shots and getting shot. So can I arrange for that? I can if I just kind of forcibly climb this hill. I can't back up an elevation level, sadly. And moving like this would put me front and center of a lot of enemies without a lot of movement. But I'm kind of looking at that regardless. Unfortunately, I don't want to twist in a way. Well, actually, all of these guys have moved. But I can't take an extra step. I would love to be able to get a kick on that stinger, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So instead, we're going to just crest this hill, put full engine power forward, and go up 2 elevation levels to come over and say, hey, assholes, I'm the heavy mech around here, take your shots at me. And then, at the same time, we should be able to lay down a lot of law with medium lasers and SRM-6 rattling off, probably at that Panther, to see if we can't get a lucky shot. Stinger actually managed to fall down before getting back up, but that means that he's got almost no armor left. And both of those vehicles had their crews eject. Now let's take a look at this Stinger and see if maybe I don't want to go into heat debt again. So his right leg is fugged. Anything I hit that with, it's going to collapse. His left leg is fugged. Anything I hit with that is going to collapse. His right arm, same. His right torso, if I hit that with my medium lasers, it's going to still be the same. Same for the left torso. So maybe what I'll want to do, if I hit any of its limbs, it's going to either be legged and thus have to abandon, or have lost most of its weapons and thus have to withdraw. Either one of those is pretty good. However, I'm currently 11 over heat-wise, 12 actually because of the walking. But if I dump a 3 and then a 3, that'll put me 2 over, and an AC5 would put me 3 over. That, I think, is manageable. So we're not going to fire the PPCs this time. But with a medium laser and a medium laser and an AC5, we're planting enough 5s around that hopefully one of them will hit his limbs and knock him out of this fight. So that's your job. Over here, the J. Edgar moved in front of us, so we're going to try to knock him out, hitting him with our AC-10 and 2 medium lasers. Oh, right, we can't, those are butt lasers. Do the LRM-10s have a chance? No. So AC-10 and a medium laser, and hopefully that's enough to knock him out. Over here, we've got pretty good shots on this Panther. We also would have decent shots on this Vidette and be much more likely to actually knock it out. 27 versus 58. The Panther is pretty heavily armored. Yeah, at least 10 all around. Nothing the Crusader is packing is going to knock through that in one shot. Shadowhawk doesn't have any sensitive parts, and the Wolverine, I know for a fact, is going to be too toughly armored to knock out. If we're going for the knockout, even though it's less likely, the Vidette is the better target. I just don't like the fact that so few shots will actually land on that target, since we're looking at unfortunately, a 27% chance to hit. We can fire and we wouldn't be able to fire our machine guns at it either. So just for weight of fire, hopefully telling true, we're going to focus on this Panther. We're going to give it an awful lot of heat. In fact, how much heat do I want to give it? Medium laser will cost me 3. I've already got a heat buildup of 4? Why do I have 4? Oh, I still had some from leftover from last turn, right? So if I fire both my SRM 6s, so SRM 6s aren't as useful right now because crit proccing's not is unlikely to do anything until I actually expose some spots. The stripping that can be done with the medium lasers is better, so we'll fire that, and that will put me at exactly 10. We'll also throw in some machine guns for just if we get lucky and do some crit procking. And I think leave it at that so that on the following turn we can dump more heat on top of a target. So let's leave it at that and see what happens. Enemy Vedette keeps picking on my Marauder, hits it on the left arm this time, so thankfully the damage is getting spread around. Enemy Shadowhawk lands its AC5 on my Marauder, its SRM2 misses, its LRM5 hits. Once again, the Pugs' Marauder is just kind of getting shredded because she can't move a lot, and as such is a perfect target. You know, these shots are supposed to be going on you, Happy. What the hell happened to that plan? This Panther wants to fight me. Because this is 2 center torso critical through armor criticals it's gotten in a row. That is starting to get a bit ridiculous. Fortunately, once again, it doesn't manage to actually crit anything, but oh, I'm mad at this Panther. I'm actually glad I took all those shots at it, because I want it to die. I want to blow off its head. Marauder takes the medium laser AC5, and it actually does exactly what I was hoping. We hit the left leg and destroy it. We hit the right leg and destroy it. So she essentially just blew both the legs off of this thing and left just a tiny little torso laying on the ground. That's going to be an automatic eject. And we can maybe take that stinger home, and I don't know if we've got enough pieces to put it back together into a proper stinger, or we just fucking sell it. In any case, the Stinger managed to get one more shot on my Marauder before it fell on its ass. Literally on its ass. It has nothing but ass left. Friendly Vulcan didn't contribute to that at all, so I'm glad that I did. God damn it, you fucking suck, you Lyran pieces of shit. Our Centurion manages to land both of its shots on the J. Edgar light hover tank. Unfortunately, didn't proc any motive system destruction, but it's gonna be roll is a 5. That means you rolled a 2. Because there's a +3 bonus on motive system damage when you hit the side of a hover tank. Let's see a little bit more effort there, okay? Twinkle toes. Enemy Wolverine just continues laying shots on my Marauder. I hate you. This is the most valuable mech in my company right now, you pieces of shit. And spreads the damage around significantly. Enemy Hatchet Man whiffs 3 50% shots. They are rolls a 4 each time. A 4 is roughly there's roughly what? Trying to think of the math there. Getting 4 4s in a row is pretty, or 3 4s in a row is pretty damn unlikely. Fuck it, I don't have time to do math. Our Crusader at least manages to get half of its hits down. Strips a little bit of the right arm armor on the Panther, and then strips a little bit of its center torso. The J. Edgar light hover tank managed to land 2 hits on my Centurion, but our Centurion can take it. Marauder kind of cuts it close on the piloting roll, but is still on her feet. The Stinger has no legs and thus automatically falls, and so falls on its only existing ass, and that is one more enemy that is out of this fight. If we can take one more out, we can force them to retreat. Friendly Vulcan keeps kicking the Stinger even though it's down, you piece of shit. You fucking filthy animal. I mean, the mech's down. It's got to be ejected. You are just hurting our end budget now. I thought this whole thing was an insurance scam. Don't you want to get in on that? God damn it. Anyway, enemy still has technically all their mechs left, but one of them's a butt, so my Centurion has to move early. That fucking sucks because she's currently in a dance with a very maneuverable hover tank, and not being able to necessarily know where it is means that she can't land shots on it reliably, so that's a pain in my ass. Everything else is pretty good. Wait, no, everything else fucking sucks, because then my Crusader also has to move before any of the enemies do. And then my Marauder has to move before most of the enemy mechs do. So, go to hell, dice roller. Well, if I were a betting man, and since I'm playing this game, I guess I am, the most likely place for that to be unable to flank me is honestly kind of right where I am. Because it's kind of trapped in this hole, anywhere that it moves sort of in this area, I should be able to see and shoot. So I think I'm just going to kind of park here for right now. Friendly Vulcan is fucking off to God knows where, exposing his rear end to all the enemies to come and play with. I suppose one idea for going ahead and getting this mission finalized, we move up and kind of threaten a kick on these guys. That's going to... One big problem is if I move up hard on these guys, a lot of them have jump jets that they're going to be able to use to get a rear shot on me. And the Crusader is heavily armored, but it's only got so much rear armor, and I'm not a fan of that. If we instead kind of, I said, turn and back up a couple squares, it's going to be harder for them, but still not impossible to get that rear shot on me. If I just kind of go forward a lot and then turn like this, that's going to be much harder for them to get rear shots on me. And I hopefully can still see that VDAT. So I think that's the move I'm going to make. Hatchet Man hides in a hole. How brave you are. Panther is coming up on my Crusader. Shadowhawk is coming up on the Hatchet Man and still managed to jump jet. Oh, right. Wait, huh? No, he just ran flat out and managed to get behind him, but he's not pointed in the right direction to take good shots on my Crusader's rear. He's more focusing on the Hatchet Man. My Marauder has taken a lot of damage, and I am not happy with how much armor she has left on various sensitive areas. I am severely tempted, and in fact going, to hide her in this hole. That, unfortunately, the problem is I don't know what the other enemy movements are, so hiding in this hole may not even be enough to avoid enemy fire. But by hiding in this hole and turning this way, if anything comes down these sides, and like the Shadowhawk, we should be able to take shots of them while still minimizing shots from above. Like, that Panther won't be able to see us. So I think that that's the best bet that we have. The Stinger is abandoned. We've got 3 out of 4. The Wolverine did come for me. The Vidette did come for me. They are all just trying to turn this into a tragedy. The J. Edgar moved right underneath me, which means that I can't shoot at it. I can only step on it. And unfortunately, I think I can't get any shots on anything else either. So that's good times. Over here, we can twist this, get our Crusader to take shots on this Vidette. And that is absolutely what I am going to do. We are going to dump an awful lot of fire, giving no particular care for heat, in the hopes that we can just knock that bitch the fuck out and then be able to go home before we lose any more sensitive armor on that Marauder. Machine gun and machine gun downrange as well. They don't generate heat. We're going to be 6 over. That's going to slow us down, and that's about it. But I'm hoping to finish this off this turn. Not great PPC shots because everyone's so close. Excellent medium laser shots because everyone's so close. Shots that I take at this Wolverine would only matter if I managed to get like a double headshot. Same for this Shadowhawk. Instead, by dumping shots on this Vedette, we help make sure that we finalize it and can go home. Uh, a PPC would put me at 15, and then I would overheat some more. I think instead I'm just going to take it easy a little bit on my shots. And you know what? Fuck it. No. We're going to go 6 in. That's going to slow down my movement, but once again, the hope is we finalize this. We finish it this turn. We finish the fight. So let's see how we did. Friendly Vulcan misses entirely. He contributed a lot. Our Crusader manages to hit the VDET on its side, does some motive system damage, but doesn't stop it. Misses. Hits with only 2 missiles out of an SRM-6 pod. Does motive system damage on both of them, though, so this thing is getting pretty slow, but it is not immobilized yet. So, that, and then both its machine guns miss, but that kind of was expected. Hatchet Man continues to show, well, okay, it did something. It shot at the enemy Wolverine, so it achieved an objective. It also got hit on its left arm with a PPC, so it achieved an objective there as well. Enemy Shadowhawk taking shots at my Marauder. It was right pressed up against the Hatchet Man. Fuck you. Stripping more armor from right arm. Fortunately, it misses with its medium laser and SRM-2, but manages to land the LRM-5, and that deals even more damage to the torso. They smell blood in the water. They are looking to weaken up armor patches and start opening up holes for criticals. I wish that they would stop. Weapons fire for the Marauder. Manages to land everything. Well, not everything, but lands both the medium lasers on that Vedette, but that just does not knock it out. It stuns the crew, but that Vedette is still operational. Not a fan of that. Enemy Wolverine takes shots at the Marauder. Pop, 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 pop. We have no armor left on our right arm, which the Vedette then follows up on, dealing an internal structure. Our precious PPC is in that arm, and those things are expensive. Pleased to know be destroying. My Marauder has taken 20 damage every single round that we've engaged the enemy. They are just focus firing it. The Lyrans had fed them information. They know that's the most expensive thing I have. I've been betrayed again. Betrayal! I'm never working with Lyrans again. They are a bunch of fucking snakes. They are rats. Please step on this and get a lucky crit and take it the hell out. We don't do that. The Hatchet Man fails at its one job. You have a hatchet. Don't kick shit, hit it. And unfortunately, the Wolverine kicks right at that exposed right arm, destroys it, and there goes our PPC. Well, that's going to be another heavy expense and probably put this Marauder out of commission for a week. Because, once again, another excellent thing that the Lyrans informed the Draconis about, this is a fight happening on Sunday. That means I have 0 time to actually put repairs into effect. I mean, I have 1 day, but 1 day is not going to be enough to get a new order of a PPC, a new order of a right arm, and actually reattach both of those. So, unfortunately, Pugs is not going to be available for the following week. Crusader rolled shit. Well, actually rolled moderately. It's just that the enemies keep rolling on fire. Actually, they do have to move most of their units before we move any of ours, so That is pretty good. One nice part particularly is that it looks like our Centurion won the initiative fight this time with that hover tank, so we're gonna fuck it up. I swear this to you. Yeah, it just kind of went in a big circle. Um, the Shadowhawk stayed still. They are just, they are parking. They're throwing themselves in park so that they can pick on my Marauder. Alright, you dirty sucking sons of bitches. Back this shit up. Back it the fuck up. We're taking shots. Actually, we've got our pick. Shadowhawk, rear armor. 6s and 8s. Panther, rear armor. 5s and 7s. Not a hell of a lot of difference, honestly. 12 armor on legs. I can't kick through it. 16 armor on legs. Definitely can't kick through it. But ultimately, the better target is to park my Crusader behind this Stinger, or behind this Panther, and just go ham on him again. We're gonna overheat significantly, but fuck them. Fuck them out loud. I am so tired of this. Salt levels are rising significantly. This particular campaign with the Lyrans has been one of the worst I've ever played in this game. I am not playing around at this point. This has been some of the worst luck, some of the worst actions by my allies. It's just kind of amazing. At this point, I'm going to be shot at by all of the enemies no matter what I do. And honestly, I'm starting to think that at this point, I've got more armor on my rear than I have on my front. This is, in fact, true. So by stomping up on this VDET, I'm going to expose my back to the Panther and the Shadowhawk, but honestly, my back has more armor at this point, and this will allow me to kick that VDET and hopefully finalize it. What are you going to do, Vulcan? Good work, Vulcan. What are you going to do, Draconis? Go straight to hell, Draconis. See, this guy could have gone for a rear shot, but he knows that I've got not enough armor on my side. Whoop. And back up. And that will put us at point blank range on that J. Edgar and allow us to punch it and kick it and all sorts of nasty shit on it. Right on its side arc. Alright, excited about that. Options, options. If I'm being honest with myself, I could definitely put rear shots on this Panther, but given the show that we had last time, what I really need is side shots on this Vedette to knock it out and go home. So as embarrassing as it is, I kind of have to take shots on this tank instead of... How much of a salty bitch am I being right now? Let's take a 2-minute ohm break and just sort of calm down. Feel the universe around you. Feel the dice. Being one with the dice. We're making decisions not out of anger, not out of salt. We are desalinating. We're thinking logically, calmly, trying to parse through all of the ups and downs, the potential problems, the potential solutions. We're thinking long and hard about it, and just letting all the positive energy of the universe flow into us and help us to make decisions that are wise. Okay. Moment of Zen. The Panther has some light rear armor, 6s and 7s, but unfortunately, the Crusader doesn't really have much that can help with that. If it manages to land a medium laser on one of those armor pieces, even then, an SRM follow-up has a potential to not actually do anything. It would possibly be a critical unless it's on back center torso, and the fact that I've only got 2 medium laser shots makes it very difficult to knock this Panther out in one go, especially seeing as how I've already got 7 heat built up, and I can't build up too much heat. If I keep putting myself in this hole, then if all of these shots miss, I'm in real trouble for actually landing any shots in the future. My first shutdown is at 18. If I fired my medium lasers and one SRM6, or one SRM6, yes, I would already be at 17, which is a +3 modifier to fire on my following turn. Oh wait, no, sorry. Gotta actually remember how heat works. I would build up, so medium, SRM6, that's 3, 3, 4, 10, 17, but I'd be down to 7 after the cooldown, which is no penalty. If I did both of my SRM6s, I'd be up to 11, which is a penalty to movement again. But then again, I'm not moving much with this Crusader. I am putting a Marauder on it, but my Marauder is badly overheated too. Yeah, as much as it would be hilarious to go after the Panther and take it out and take another piece of salvage home, right now we are working against the clock. My Marauder cannot take much more damage, and unfortunately, it's going to this turn. There's just no two ways about it. They are going to focus fire on my Marauder, because it just could not move enough. So we are going to take as many shots as we can on this VDET, hope that we can knock it out, and hope that what damage comes in on my Marauder is spread out enough so that it doesn't permanently cripple it. So that is the shots we are taking. We are going to launch a medium laser and a medium laser, and we're just going to go ahead and go into heat det, dump 2 SRM6s on it, that's going to put us at 11, and 2 machine guns aren't likely to hit, but if they hit, they have a potential to crit. So that's what we're doing. Over here, we are badly in heat det, and we have already lost a PPC and a AC and an AC, or a PPC and a medium laser. So we can fire a PPC, and that would put us at 18. That's 2 over. 5 over, 6 over. 6 would be -1 to movement points, but we aren't moving very well anyway. We have a -1 modifier to fire because of... oh, actually, we don't have that yet. Our PPC wouldn't be terribly likely to hit in this range band anyway. So let's just be honest with ourselves. Take the medium laser and take the AC5 shot just because. It doesn't build up much heat. Hope for the best. Over here, we can actually fire our AC10, fire our medium laser, and maybe the LRM-10 has no chance of hitting, so it's not even worth doing it as a joke. So let's take these shots, let's think positively, let's hope for the best, and pugs, stay alive. That's really all I care about. If I'm being totally honest, the Marauder was a very nice thing to have, but Pugs is a rarity, far rarer than any Marauder, because of her skill and her abilities. So all I need you to do, Pugs, is stay alive. Live, damn you, live. So let's see how we do. Jadger, firing at my Centurion, manages to land 2 shots, but they just kind of plink all around. Enemy Shadowhawk is firing on my Marauder. Manages to hit on my right torso, rear armor, twice in a row, strips it off, and does a critical hit on my AC 5, so that's another weapon that's knocked out of commission. Actually, might be repairable. It's only got one hit on it so far. And then we take a 9-shot LRM5 as well. More damage to my center torso. The Panther needs a 9, gets a 9, hits on my right torso, does 2 criticals, but it's still there. It's got 4 internal structure remaining though, so who knows how long it's still there. SRM4 manages to just land 1 missile on my left arm, so that's excellent. My Crusader hits the VDET with its medium laser, misses with the medium laser. 5s are a 83% chance to hit, so makes sense that out of like 5 shots we would miss 1. But there we go. So, manages to land the SRM6 on it, which does some plinking and also hampers its movement. But the other SRM6 finally manages to get through into internal structure, destroys the engine, hits the fuel tank, detonates the vehicle, and turns it into tiny piles of scrap. But that's it. That's the last enemy on the board that we needed to destroy. So fuel tank hit, vehicle explodes. Now we just need to get through the rest of the enemy fire with that, with our Marauder still walking. Hatchet Man actually manages to land all of his shots. Pretty good. They're all in the Shadowhawk, so it doesn't really matter. But we can see how that Shadowhawk was also just completely focused on taking out our Marauder, because it exposed its rear to both me and the Hatchet Man there. Marauder helps out with a vehicle that was already destroyed. Fortunately, Happy already managed to finalize that one, so we didn't need that. Enemy our Lyran Vulcan taking shots at a VDET that's already exploded. Good job, you. Enemy Wolverine. Well, okay. AC5 gets into the internal on my left torso. That's the torso that, if I'm remembering correctly, contains our AC5 ammo, but no critical. Hit on the right leg, stripping it down to 0. SRM6 procking, critical hit on right torso, destroys the right torso, critical hit on center torso, through armor critical, another one, damn it. Our right torso is destroyed, but so is our right arm, so it's just pretty much that the right side of this Marauder has been melted away. Our Centurion manages to immobilize the J. Edgar light hover tank, so that we are 5 over, so that's excellent. And the enemy Shadowhawk falls over, embarrassing himself, but the important thing is, because we destroyed that enemy vehicle, the VDET no longer exists. We have already won on this turn, so we can now declare /victory. Our Marauder has been badly savaged, and I'm going to learn from the past a little bit. I usually get to like the end screen, and then I have to talk about things and we can't reference them. So let's stop right here and look at what the hell happened. Our Marauder has been very badly damaged, but it is still a functioning mech. It's lost its right arm and right torso and all the armor on its right leg. It's lost all the armor on its left torso. Its left arm has lost a lot of its armor. Its center torso lost a lot of its armor. It was really badly savaged on its right side. Which is interesting because the enemy didn't really like focus on its right side, but that's just kind of how it happened. We managed to take out the enemy in time. Whoa, this Shadowhawk? No, it can't be, can it? Did I miss something? Why does the Shadowhawk look destroyed? I may have missed something. Just a moment, just a moment. I was too excited about this being over. Hang on, check tape. Oh, sorry. No, that's the Stinger. That's the Stinger. The Shadowhawk is over here. Its name tag just got off. Okay. Okay. Never mind. But Hatchet Man knocked him over. We finalized this guy. But anyway, lots of damage on my Marauder. No damage on my Crusader. Very little damage on my Centurion. So pretty much the enemies did make a straight beeline for my Marauder. I made a mistake early on in moving the Marauder up to this cover. That was a bad idea. For starters, the Marauder is a sniper mech. It can operate at very long ranges. I definitely should have just put it back here and let it do its work where the enemy couldn't shoot at it because they couldn't see it, or at the very least, couldn't get weapon ranges on it. Pushing it up to that cover was a bad idea, and informed by the fact that I kind of thought the enemy would be spawning over here. Now, I knew better by the time I deployed the Marauder. It's just that by that point I was kind of invested. But that's the big lesson to learn. Keep in mind where your enemies are going to spawn, and put the Marauder away from the fight. If you want people to focus on your Centurion and your Crusader because they're more heavily armored, don't put the lightly armored mech on the front lines. The the bot is demi-clever. Once it managed to land some shots on my Marauder, which it did because the Marauder moved slowly, and thus it was able to get some excellent shots, the AI valued it more highly because that damage meant that there was a higher chance each turn of finalizing it. Now, I do not know if our enemies' AI and our allies' AI operate off the same AI, because I just do not see the enemies making as many boneheaded fucking mistakes. But, you know, who knows? There might be something in there to help program in Lyran incompetence. We will be taking home a light mech and several vehicles in salvage. If we're lucky, we should be able to at least recoup the costs of replacing the right torso, the right arm, and all of the weapons therein on my Marauder. If we're not lucky, then this was a mission that actually cost us. But we did win it. We will be taking home XP. And we are very close to the end of this particular uh, contract. Thank the maker. And hopefully we can just weather out the last 2 weeks of it without any more encounters like this. In the meantime, Firebrand Lance is going to have to go offline again because there's just not enough mechs to finish it out. Not with the Marauder out of action. But that's a problem for my repair bay and thus stuff that you guys don't need to see. So, rough contract, could still get rougher, but let's think positively and get through it. I'll see you guys. Oh, actually, let me just go ahead and finish things off. See you guys next time.